let's jump into it. I would love for you, I guess to begin tonight, I'd love for you to kind of just share the story of how this whole thing came to be. Because like from my vantage point, we've known each other 6, 7 years, been really close for a long time now. Our wives are good buds. Um, but like my vantage point, like kind of setting up you telling your story is like, I have a close friend. He's amazing, crushing it in door-to-door sales. Um, I think you would agree that door-to-door sales laid a really cool foundation for you to be able to go do what you ended up doing. But then, like, along the same time, two separate things, I'm like consuming these books by a guy named Ben Hardy like crazy. And I've read probably 6 or 7 of his books. And fast forward to today, Blake is co-authoring books with Ben Hardy. And I'm like, this is, I think a lot of people that have been buds with you for a long time, it's just super cool to have a front row seat to see you making big moves, dude. So would love for you to just begin tonight by telling your story, maybe starting with your door-to-door sales experience, and then the crazy, cool, ambitious story of you exiting door-to-door sales and becoming an author and starting your own company with Ben Hardy.
I'd love to. I'll try to make it not long-winded. Before I say anything, though, I have to give my flowers to this guy. Been in the space a long time, and one of the goals I always had when I was in door-to-door is it's such a competitive industry, and it's super common that like point hates active and active hates hawks or whatever it is. And I always made a point to try to get to know other people at other companies, and that's not advice, but one of the benefits that came from that was meeting Parker. And genuinely, I know almost everybody in the space. He is one of the very best.
I appreciate it.
And I don't take that lightly. And the fact you get to be led by him is, I mean, just an absolute honor. So, with that being said, 2020, I got back from my mission in 2018. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and everybody was trying to get me to do door to door. And I was like, no, I'm not doing door to door. Everybody does door to door. I'm going to be like the one guy that does not do door to door. So I didn't do it my first summer back from my mission. And I made 13 grand that year in 12 months. And I had like 5 of my best friends go out, and one of them made 80 grand, another made 100, one made 50, one made 70. And here I am just like living off of $700 a month. And I was like, man, this is difficult. And also I wanted to get into real estate, and also I wanted to get into business. And so after all my friends had such a successful time, I'm like, okay, I fold. Like, I'll do this. I'll do it for a summer. So I went out 2020, COVID year. Anybody here sell COVID?
It was amazing.
Best.
Shooting fish in a barrel.
Unbelievable.
People were home all day. Like,
Yeah, it was incredible.
yeah.
So go out COVID year, had an extraordinary experience. I learned about myself, things that I had never known. And I'd served a mission, and it was like one of the greatest learning experiences of my life. I developed the skill of communication, how to gain people's trust, how to be likable, how to read people, how to ask good questions, all of it. And that skill, by the way, has made me multiple millions of dollars, that one skill. That one summer of experience, that skill was developed. And on top of that, I met amazing people and just a great community, great environment. And so when I finished the summer, it was like, cool, what's next? Naturally, it was like, man, I want other people to experience this. And so I was like, how do I get more people to come experience what I experienced? And I made 118 grand my first summer, and I was like, cool, how do we take this to the next level? So I was fortunate enough to have some amazing people around me, recruited 40 people my second summer, quadrupled my income, and had an even better experience. And the coolest part about it was I went from like me having a good experience to 40 people having a good experience. And that's 10 times more rewarding than just myself having a good experience. And so this light kind of opened where I was like, man, recruiting is not only so cool, it makes you a lot more money, but also it's the most fulfilling thing in the game. Like being able to have an amazing relationship, being able to have an impact on people. So I just became obsessed with recruiting. Next summer we grew it to 130 people. Summer after that we grew it to 250. And it just became one of the greatest blessings in my life. Door to door has been one of the greatest blessings in my life, period. And set me up to do what I'm doing now and will set me up to do whatever I do in the future. And it's the same for you. The last summer you've had, the summer that you're going to have, the summers that you're going to have, I promise you, it'll pay off in every aspect of your life, whether it's with your wife, whether it's with your kids, whether if you're negotiating a real estate deal or some equity deal in the future or buying some business or just having great relationships, it will serve you so much. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And literally every single day, it's a gift that keeps on giving. So that was my door-to-door experience. After 5 unbelievable years with working with unbelievable people, I didn't deserve the people that I was able to work with. It had gotten to a point where it became pretty self-automated in the sense of I personally started to coast. I got really comfortable and I just had amazing people that were crushing it. So I started to coast and I felt like my learning at some point started to slow down. And so around that time, I was like, man, I got to go get uncomfortable again. I can't start to coast. That's not who I am. I got to go do big things. And so for me, it was like, okay, maybe it's time to be open to um, something that's a bigger game for me in that time period. After I extracted as much as I possibly could from the opportunity. Um, and around the same time in April of 2024, I felt God, which I feel like God doesn't nudge me often, but I felt God nudge me and say, hey, I need you to call this guy that I met 4 years previous. He said, I need you to call Dr. Hardy or Ben Hardy. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. I didn't do it. And 2 more times he came and was like, hey, you got to call Dr. Hardy. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And the third time I was like, okay, I'm going to do it right now. So I pulled my phone out, called him. I remember I was sitting in this office. It was April, just middle of the day. And I called him. He answered on like the third ring. I'm like, okay, this is crazy. Flash back a little bit. We met in 2021. At this point when I'm calling him, he's one of the top business strategy authors in the entire world. In order to like spend time with him, you got to pay him like 10 grand. And so he's a really big deal. And
Who's read any of his books, Ben Hardy's books? You guys read any of his books?
who know how 10x is using 2x.
You get, yeah, that should be your first homework of the night. Amazing books.
Yeah, it's brilliant, brilliant. And so I just called him. I said, hey, I don't know why I'm calling. I think God wants me to call you, and I just want to be an asset to you. If there's any way I could be an asset, you let me know. I think we could do some big and fun together. And he said, you know what, Blake? I get asked that a lot. Anybody know Russell Brunson in here? So like he was kind of in talks with doing a business with Russell Brunson. He had a lot of different opportunities. And he's like, but you're someone that I'd be open to doing it with. I'm like, okay. And so the salesman in me like turned on fire. It's like, okay, so this guy's open to this. And so even though he just creaked the door just a little bit, I spent the next 6 months pounding on his door, call after call, visiting, texting, till we got to a point where he was like really open to go into business together. And my pitch kind of was like, let's take your work, flood the world with it, and let's build a business around it. You write, I'll build a business. And he was really intrigued by that. Flash forward 6 months, I fly out to Orlando. And on the flight to Orlando, I'm thinking about like, how do I get this guy to say yes? Because he was kind of like back and forth a little bit. And one of the things that came to my mind was like, ask him to co-author the book with him that he was currently writing. Because if I could co-author the book and help write the book, then it would help our business grow. That was like my mentality. So anyways, we sit down. I said, Ben, let's do this thing. Here's the vision. Nobody owns the topic of scaling. Nobody truly has a real formula for scaling. It's all fluffy. It's the buzzword today. Let's go own it. Let's go actually have a solution for it. And let's go teach people actually how to do it. He loved it. And then I said, and on top of that, you should really let me co-author this next book with you. And that he didn't love as much. But he sat there for like 30 seconds when I said that. And it was actually the thing that sold him on me. The fact that I was bold enough to ask him that. And here I am, I'm 26. I've got no following, zero. Literally none. I've just, I've done door to door and it's been amazing, but it's not like I've proved myself in any way. Um, but when I asked that, he said, I see where you're coming from, but here's the issue. I spent the last 12 years building my audience. 8 books, blood, sweat, and tears. You just asked me to hand it over to you like that. I don't know if I can do that. And I'm like, I hear that. Like that makes sense. And he said, I need to feel like there's skin in the game. I'm like, okay, so like what kind of skin are we talking here? He said, in order for me to feel like I'd be fully in, I need $1 million from you. And I'm okay. Let me call my bride. And so I call my wife. I'm not kidding. Here's the conversation. She's here. She can verify. I call her and I'm like, hey. She's like, how'd it go? I'm like, it went really good. He wants $1 million to write the book. And she's like, let's run it. I'm like, all right, sick. So I text Ben. That was my wife, literally. Let's run it. No hesitation. She was like, oh, she loved it. She was laughing. She was happy about it.
That's pretty awesome. I love that.
Text him. I say, hey, we're in. 5 minutes later. And he's like, good choice. Let's roll. So since then, we launched our business in May. The book came out that I hope you guys can read. Came out in July. It became a New York Times bestseller the week after it came out. And we consult 350 companies today, and it's been an amazing, amazing experience. So that's been like the last year and a half of my life, and it's crazy how much can change in a year. It's crazy how much you can learn. It's crazy how much you can develop. We really underestimate how much we can progress in a year and how much we can transform and what can happen. And I hope that's one message that you take away today is a year from now you could be unrecognizable and you could do things that your current self today never even thought was possible. And that's been the case for me.
So good. Thank you. That's amazing. Who's inspired? Anyone inspired in the room?
Are we good to get out of here?
Yeah, let's pack it up. I remember when this is all going down, I'm driving to St. George with Blake for a mastermind event. And I'm like, dude, what's new? How's your life? And he's like, dude, crazy update, but I'm selling all my real estate. I'm like, no, don't do that. And then you elaborate on like, but this is why. And I'm like, that's amazing, dude. Like, just the guts and the willingness to, sometimes good can be the enemy to great, and which we'll get into right now. Like that's the case. That was the case in your situation, is you had clarity on what you wanted to go do, and so everything else that maybe served your past self with your past goals was okay, but it was no longer acceptable. And so anyway, so cool, so inspiring. This is kind of the layout for the rest of the night, is there's a couple frameworks in the book that I'm in love with. I think they're so rad, and I think about them almost daily now. And I want you to kind of school teacher style teach the group about those 3 frameworks. So I have a couple of them prepared. And then we're going to get into like the application of those. So maybe summer sales, an idea with summer sales or recruiting or investing in real estate, totally. Just a couple application nuggets. And then we're going to finish with some Q&A tonight. So I might ask a couple to get it started, and then we'll allow you guys to ask some questions the last 10, 20 minutes if you guys are cool with that. So you guys all good with that? Okay.
We can go all night too.
Okay, so a couple scaling frameworks that are in their book. This being the first one, and I think this is a great place to start, and we've already kind of referenced this. So maybe just speak to this one, what it means, and in terms of goal setting, it's a good place to start.
So one of the assumptions in psychology that's been made, and I think people think like this, is that what you've done in the past is what determines who you are and what you do today. So what you did yesterday, last year, 5 years ago, that's what determines what you do today. And our counter argument to that is that it's actually false. And not only is it a bad way to operate, it's inefficient, but the future is actually the thing that shapes the present. Let me share an example of that. So everybody is here tonight and you're watching this. Whether it was conscious or subconscious, there was a goal that brought you here tonight, right? Whether it was, I want to go learn, I want to go see my buddies, I want free food, each one of those would be a goal. And so that goal shaped what you did today, which brought you here. Tomorrow, you're going to wake up and you're going to do things. Whether you choose to work out or not is going to be dependent upon your future. If you have a future self that says, hey, I'm in shape, I take care of myself, you'll probably end up at the gym tomorrow. If your future self says, hey, I want to have a good relationship with God and God's important to me, it's priority for me, then you'll probably spend some time with God tomorrow. So on and so forth. And so the most powerful tool in the world, my friends, is a clear and defined future. It's the most powerful thing in the world. If you really want to be powerful in the present, get really clear on the future. The greatest thing that I've ever done in my life is just get really clear on what I want and when I want it. And so when I was 20 years old, my mission president came to me. I teach seminary in the morning. I shared this with my seminary class. And the greatest thing that he ever did was he came to me and said, Blake, what do you want your life to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and 20 years from now? I never really thought of it. 20 years old, I was like, I want to be a physical therapist and maybe do like international business, speak Spanish. I had no idea. But for the first time, it like really caused me to think. It's like, what do I want? Who do I want to be? And when do I want it? And that exercise was so powerful for me because it shaped everything I've done up to this point. And it got me really clear on exactly what I wanted. And so creating that future, spending time creating that future is essential. If you want to be more decisive in the present, if you want to be more powerful in the present, it starts with understanding where are you headed. So if you're sitting here, it's like, man, I'm not super clear. I don't know where I'm going next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I don't know who I want to be. Just start. Just write it down. Give it your best guess and start acting towards that. And it's just a draft. The way that we see goals is it's simply just a tool for you to be your best self today. It doesn't have to be perfect. We call it a draft because tomorrow it could be something different. It could be something better. It could be upgraded. But when we put this pressure on ourselves, it's like, oh, dude, if I'm setting a goal, it has to be perfect. It's like, no, just start with something, start acting towards it, and that's going to be the best thing that can shape you. In the summer sales perspective, if you go approach with a future-based goal versus a past-based goal, it'd look like this. Last year, I sold 100K. So based off of the past, I'm going to sell 130K this summer. Anybody set goals like that? That's how I used to set goals. But what if it was, hey, I sold 100K last year, that's the past. I don't operate from the past, I operate from the future. So future me actually sells 600K. Much different process. But you're operating from the future versus the past. The past is what holds you back. The future is what excels you forward. Make sense? Anything you want to add to that?
No, I love it. The example that came to my mind, so I've been in this space for a long time. I've done 8-9 years, last couple being in this role, running our program here. But my first 2 years I did at Vivint. And when I switched industries and went from alarms to pest, one of the big things that's talked about when you switch industries in door-to-door is the ratios. If you sell one alarm, then that means you'll probably sell 3 pest control accounts a day. And so I bought into that narrative. When I switched from Vivint to here, going into my 3rd summer, which was my first summer in pest control, I literally identified myself as a 3 account rep because I had been told over and over and over again that if you do X in alarms, then this is who you are here. And so I was operating from my past self. Yes, I sold 1 alarm a day. So I literally went and did that. That's the unfortunate truth is I sold 120 alarms my 2nd year at Vivint, switched to pest control here, and I sold 360 accounts my first, like literally on the number, did what everyone told me I should do, right? Which was good. 360 accounts is good. I made 6 figures. It was fine, but I was operating from my past self, right? The next summer, my vision increased. I met Corbin Church, a mentor that taught me, dude, you go make way more money than that and you can buy a lot more real estate. And I started operating way bigger. It was like, who cares what I've done? Like, I want to go dominate because like, I'm going to go listen to this future self. And honestly, I'm doing these things without
Totally.
the reason I love these frameworks is it like puts words to like success formulas, you know? Anyway, next summer come out and I sold over 600 accounts because I didn't care anymore about some ratio thing that other people were using to define my past self, if that makes sense. So there are so many examples even in my life, and I'm sure you guys all have examples. If you've had success and gone and done anything epic, it was because you were listening to your future self, not your past self. So I love that. I love this nugget, and this is an awesome place to start. And then I think this next framework is kind of the next step.
Yeah.
So let's go this one now.
Let me share one last thought here, and this coincides. So there's this concept called, there's a distinction called linear versus exponential. So there's linear growth. So if this was a graph, linear growth would be like this. If we were looking at a graph and we were talking about exponential growth, exponential would be like this. Okay. Anytime that you're having linear growth, it's because you're operating from your past self every time. Anytime you're having exponential growth, it's because you're operating from your future self every time. So rule of thumb, think about that. On the same vein, so we believe future shapes the present, but also everything you do is driven and derived from a goal. Everything, I promise you, is derived from a goal. If you go watch Netflix tonight, there is a goal for you to go finish your TV show or your TV series, or maybe it's a goal to just relax. There's a goal that's backing it. So it's important that to recognize what is your goal. We suggest, rather than setting linear goals, to set exponential goals, because when you give room for exponential goals in your life, it gives you exponential results. When you set linear goals, it gives you linear results. Knowing that our goals shape our present, the bigger the goal, the more your present will be shaped. And so let me ask you a question. If you're going for 150K in revenue next year, are you going to have to show up a lot different than if you're going for 650K in revenue? Much different person, right? Much different training process, much different preparation, much different, pitch, schedule, diet, habits, completely different, completely transformative. Everybody agree with that? And so we believe in setting impossible goals. We believe in setting goals so big that drastically shape who you are today. So that's the first thing. And so let's all say that everybody here has a goal that is forcing them to think differently. If you did 150K last year and you're doing 200K this next year, that will not shape what you're doing at all. It will just cause you to do more of what you're currently doing. But if you go, I keep using this analogy because we're in door-to-door sales. But if you did 150 last year and you're doing 650, you can't get there by doing more. It's not like you can just go knock another 20 doors a day and you're just going to 4x your revenue. You have to do different. You have to do better. And so starting with that is the first recipe to scaling, whether it's your individual sales, whether it's your recruiting, whether it's the revenue that your team's going to go put in. You have to start with a bigger frame that shapes what you've been doing. It makes kind of what you've been doing obsolete and forces you to be much better. Once that's done, then your floor matches your goal. So let me give you an example. Parker mentioned me selling my real estate. The reason I sold all of my real estate is my old goal was I wanted to get 100 units of real estate and then retire. My new impossible goal was I wanted to build a business that was doing over $100 million of revenue in 3 years. And so what that meant was the floor that I had before was not the same floor I could have with my new goal. And so things that I was optimizing for before, I could no longer optimize for. Before I was doing real estate, I owned like 3 different side businesses and was dabbling in a handful of different things. Had a podcast, had a bunch of different things that were diluting my focus, which were good for my old goals. But for this new goal, I no longer could tolerate those things. If you want to go do $3 million of downline revenue, are the people you're hiring today going to get you there? Or where does your floor need to raise? Is your current way that you manage, is it above the floor? Is it below the floor? Do you have the skill sets that you need in order to get there? What needs to be stripped out in your life or in your business that you could tolerate doing what you used to be doing or getting to where you had gone to, but to this new goal, you can no longer tolerate. And so the floor is actually this really, really powerful concept that backs up when you go for big goals. It's not just, oh, I'm going for a big goal. Let's just kind of pray and wish that we get there. It's the action that feels the commitment that says, okay, not only am I going for big goals, but everything I do is going to match my goal. Everybody I hire, my habits, my personal life, my training, my preparation is in sync and in alignment with the goal. Does that make sense?
So your floor filters out, if I have a high floor, I have to filter out and say I have to say no to a lot of things.
Correct.
Right. And so this graph, like all these lines here are daily decisions or like their activities, right? And so if something is beneath my floor, I need to start saying no to it and ignoring it in my life.
Yes.
Maybe, and then I guess just another takeaway for me is like this then highlights the importance of setting big goals. Because if you don't have big goals, then you can say yes to a lot of things. What are the other important pieces of goal setting? So like big, shorter timeline, maybe it kind of stresses you out almost a little bit. How quickly I need to get it done, because I could have a big goal but a way long timeline, and I could still probably get away with saying yes to most things, right? So as you're like giving advice in terms of goal setting, what are some of the key words that come to your mind?
Yeah, there's so many. Anybody here have a 10-year plan? Anybody have a 5-year plan? Okay, we'll start there. But like a common thing that we do is a lot of people have 10-year goals. It's like, what if you need to accomplish them in like the next 2? What would happen? What would have to change? And so when it comes to goal, there's probably 4 specific things they need to remember. One, the bigger the goal, the more it's going to push you to perform better, period. So it's just, for your sake, it's just more effective to set bigger goals rather than realistic goals. Secondly, a goal with a deadline that's too far out not only inspires nobody, but also allows you to delay action. So for example, if I said, hey, I want to lose 3 pounds this year, it's like, dude, I'm eating the exact same tomorrow as I ate today,
I'll wait until December.
I'm going to wait December 26th.
Starve myself.
Like, cool, dude, I'll hit the sauna, So it just does not move to action. Versus if I say, hey, I got to lose 30 pounds in the next 3 months, my next meal is different.
Mm-hmm.
When I wake up tomorrow, I have to work out. And so Elon Musk says if a deadline is long, it's wrong. And putting really rigorous deadlines in your life is one of the most effective things that you could do for your goals and your development, period. So big scale, rigorous, urgent deadline. 3, quantifiable, like goals that you can't quantify or measure. It's just not effective. It just doesn't serve you. And then here's the last one, which is really interesting. Growing up, which I'm really grateful for, my dad had us set goals every Sunday. And I set 30 goals a week, dude. Just like, here's 7 for physical, 6 for mental, 4 for financial.
You get diluted.
I just accomplished none of them, And when my life really started to change is when I just set one goal.
Mm-hmm.
I call it the big domino. What's the big domino that would hit all the other dominoes down, or the majority of the other dominoes down? That's the goal you want to go with. And so if it's, hey, if I go make $1 million, that's the goal, because guess what? That allows me to go buy 6 real estate properties, invest in retirement, do this dream vacation, have this freedom. Those are all the byproducts of you hitting your goal versus you just having 15 different goals. So what's the big domino? And those are the 4 things: measurable, big domino, big scale, urgent deadline, when you go to set goals that you have to apply.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, I think when Elon Musk taught that, he talks about like if you give yourself a day to clean your house, you'll take up the space. You'll take the whole day
Yeah.
up. You give yourself 30 minutes, like you'll get it done.
It's actually science.
Yeah, I think it's called Parkinson's law, and it's so yeah. I think I love those ways to filter out goal setting. So way important. So, um, same concept, right? But like
The only thing,
floor is everything above my floor is what I say yes to. Frame is the whole picture of um my goal, right? And then maybe focus. What's
the only thing different on this one is focus is kind of like the pathways to your goal. And so the bigger the goal, the less pathways there are to it, which actually creates simplicity. And so if I want to recruit 3 people, the pathways to recruit 3 people are like thousands, almost infinite. But if I want to go from 0 to 100 people, the pathways to get 100 people shrink a lot. And what that does is it creates simplicity, which ultimately creates focus. And so less pathways to your goal is actually a good thing because it allows you to narrow in and target on the biggest rocks that you need to move in order to get there.
so this strategy almost like I got to go rethink everything.
Yeah.
Because 3 people recruited or a goal of selling 100K or whatever, like there's there's probably a lot of different pathways you could get there. So the bigger the goal, the less strategies, the more intentional you need to be with your strategies and the people, the partners,
Yes.
all of it.
And the less linear thinking works.
Yeah.
Like if Point wanted to 10x in the next year, whatever we did last year would become obsolete.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to
Okay, we got to find
basically
some
back the
toy
whole
new.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is where the innovation occurs.
Okay, last one. Love this one, and you kind of referenced this one already, but would love for you to just speak to this idea of the focus path. So all these obviously are synergistic and kind of work together, but maybe just speak to this visual.
Yeah. A lot's already been said, but if you are operating in a time frame of 10 years or 5 years, bring it in. Because I actually believe you can accomplish what you think you're going to do in 10 years in a year. Truly believe that. For example, our company, and this isn't to highlight us, but this is just an example showing this. Our company, we set up with a goal to get to 120 million in 3 years, and we've been active for 6 months, and we're at $8 million. The question is, what if we put $10 million in 3 years or $100 million in 10 years? I can guarantee you we would not be at $8 million today. And so just by putting rigorous deadlines, big scale, helps you find the most focused pathways to your goal rather than linear path to your goal. And we're experiencing that in real time today.
It's awesome. One of the things I'm really grateful for is that this is my day job and I get to be a part of like the door-to-door sales is a vehicle to help you get ahead early in life, right? And most of the people you're going to go to school with are totally on the linear
100%.
train. Yeah, they're what do when people say retirement, what age comes to your mind that society teaches you? They just 65, like all of us could rattle 65 all at the same time, right? Why? Like why is that? Why are we taught at a young age that 65 is the year that it's gonna just be amazing, man? Like life begins at 65 when
I'm
you're old
already
and
dead,
decrepit. Yeah, like it's bizarre. So I love that we all get to work in a vehicle that can be a lot faster than that. And if you'll be intentional with how you approach the vehicle, you can take a focused path and get stuff done in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. That sets you up. You can go be in 1, 2, 3 years where everyone else is at in 10, 20 years from now. If you are on the right bus with the right people and thinking the right way.
And the fact you're here, by the way, shows that you're on a
100%.
non-linear path.
Yeah.
So kudos to all of you.
But there's good, better, best, right? And I do believe there's a better out there for all of us, right? Like we can go optimize utilizing this vehicle and go bigger and use it better. So yeah, there's levels. There's levels to the to the game. The other thing I just wanted to highlight before we continue is I think we have to kind of like put a magnifying glass a little bit on the fact that Ben Hardy and Blake are sitting in a room and Ben says, I need $1 million. And Blake's 24 years old and can say yes to that because whenever you started in this game, you went all in and you won here, right? And so it wasn't just the skills, it wasn't just it was all of it, right? Like he was prepared, and that's again what this can be is this can lay a foundation for you guys to go do really epic things. And it doesn't have to be in real estate investing like I've done. It can be, Blake's story is incredible, and what he's been able to now go do is unreal. So I wanted to get into some application, but I feel like we've covered some application pretty well throughout. Like we've given examples of, but I put a couple like I want to go do X, Y, Z. I want to have 20 recruits this year, my first summer. I want to buy a rental property every year. But I feel like we've walked through this really nicely. The principle again is like set big goals with a shorter timeline, and you're going to have to filter out a lot of things. And the bigger the goal, the more you have to filter out, right? Anything else that you'd plug or just add with this? And then I'm kind of cool to turn it over and let you guys ask some questions. I think that'd probably be a really good use of the rest of our time.
I think about where a lot of summer sales people should raise their floor. And let me just call it a couple of the areas where I think if people were to raise their floor in these areas, it would mean significant upside for them. Number one is just being half in, half out. Like if you want to go accomplish big things, half in, half out just does not work. Like that will work for mediocre results, but if you're going for exponential results, it's just completely below the floor. And so if you're not fully committed for a dedicated time, you're just going to get diluted results, and it's not worth it because you're going to go sell in the summer anyways. I had a brother who's amazing. I love. He sold for 5 summers the same amount of time as me. And not in any boastful way, but I probably made 10 times the amount of money he made solely because, not due to talent, solely because after every summer he said, I don't know if I'm going to do it this next summer. And then here we were 5 years later, and but that story is like universal, and he was making good money, but he could have just made so much more if he focused and was committed. Secondly, when you go out and sell, it's really easy for your peers, your environment to affect you. And so you should ask yourself, hey, are the people that I'm having come out and sell with me, are they like going to raise me up or bring me down? And that might be worth checking. It's like, okay, is that the culture that I want to create? Are the habits that I have in my personal life, are they going to help me go create the success I want to have? And so my last suggestion here is just, if you want to go do amazing things, are you being the person you need to be to do so? Is your floor where it needs to be in order to do so, or where do you need to raise it? Where are you currently operating below your floor? And if you could walk away with anything today, I would just want you to do that. I just want you to identify where you're below the floor and where it needs to be raised. And if you do that, everyone's going to go be so much more successful because of the last 45 minutes.
I think it's a really good practice and just awesome homework for all of us to go. You should be setting goals, right? Like, I teach and preach the top 10. Every morning I write my top 10 goals that are the most meaningful goals in my life. And I do it every morning, and I have for 2-3 years now. But in addition to that, also kind of writing down what's the cost, like what's the price tag? What do I need to go give up maybe to go get that done? And I think doing that every once in a while is also super important, right? Because goals are goals without like clarity as to like how I'm going to go. Again, there's those activities every day, and I got to be intentional about which ones I'm saying yes to and no to in order to actually go get it done. And so that would be some awesome homework, I think, that I would read the book, first of all, and then I would go, play with some of these frameworks. And as you're setting aggressive goals, like what are the things I need to say yes to and no to? And obviously, I'm biased. If you're here and you haven't sold to us, like I hope that selling is one of those that can help you go hit your goals. If it's not, then go do. If it's not, then I actually hope you don't join us, because I want you to go do what is right for you in your life, and I want you to go pursue the things that are important to you and say no to the things that are going to distract you and become a distraction. So, um, yeah. Let's go a little Q&A at the end here. Let's do some questions. Yeah.
From working with Ben Hardy, what's the biggest trait that he has that's led to all his success?
Humility.
Great question. So he said, with working with Ben Hardy, who he's co-authoring the books with and doing the business with, what's kind of the biggest trait you've seen him have that's led to him being successful? Good question.
Humility, which leads to rigorous feedbacks. Let me explain. So Ben in our company is probably the person that has the excuse to ask for the least amount of feedback. Like, he probably needs it the least, and he is just operating at another level. But what's funny and ironic about it is he's the person that asks for feedback the most. Hey, what could I do better? What went right? What went wrong? His humility is unbelievable. And we have hard conversations, as partners. We call each other out. We say, this is right. This is not right. And the amount of humility that every time that there's a conversation that he takes and ownership that he takes is absolutely impressive. There's not a call that goes by. We were on a call today. I could show you my phone, that he doesn't call me right after and says, hey, how'd that go? What could we do to improve it? How can we make it so much better? And it's like, over time, it's like, bro, I'm like out of words. I don't know what you want me to say. But over time, I've actually found, every time there's something we can do better. Every time there's something we can do to move the needle. But oftentimes we get into the swing of things and we just think like, man, I've done 1,000 recruiting meetings. I've knocked 10,000 doors. Like, I don't need feedback. And that's actually the time period when you need the feedback the most. Because the moment you stop asking for feedback and seeking feedback is the moment you become really stagnant. So if you want to keep growing, keep exposing yourself to feedback.
I think too, what I just thought about is like that. I think that's the recipe for him having so many books, because like there's a lot of authors out there that are like one-hit wonders, like you write something and then you build your whole life on that thing, and then you're too proud to learn anything else or like change opinions or whatever, But like that's the thought that just came to my mind, is like he writes these amazing books that kind of gets his name out there, but then he's like humble enough to continue to learn, ask questions, and now he's just got so much awesome content out there. And so I think that like if you don't want to be a one-hit wonder, you have to stay really humble and always never be too proud to get better in life.
100%.
So that was a great
He's
question.
amazing. Great question.
Yeah, Noah.
Working with Ben, did you ever feel imposter syndrome? And what's your opinion on imposter syndrome? Is it a good thing, bad thing? Repeat that.
Imposter syndrome, which is another great question, because we're talking like Ben's probably the Michael Jordan of authors right now, and so the question is, did Blake ever feel imposter syndrome plugging in with him?
It's a beautiful question. Up until in my entire life, I never knew what imposter syndrome was. So if you asked me 2 years ago about this question, I just would have no idea what that is. But boy, have I felt imposter syndrome, my friend, genuinely. Like, it crippled me for 6 months. And I'd say up until recently, I've been able to exit and feel like I'm in my own groove, which has been amazing to feel like I can be myself. But yeah, man, it was absolutely prevalent and really difficult to navigate. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I don't know if it's either or. I would say in my case it was a bad thing, because I think you're at your best self when you're feeling calm, natural, relaxed, like just in flow. And it's hard to feel in flow if you're feeling like you're an imposter. And so I'd say work to get out of that as much as possible. Ways to get out of it is just talk about it. It's like, same with addiction or same with anything else, is just address it. All progress starts by telling the truth. All progress starts by telling the truth. And so I had talks with Ben. I'm like, dude, I don't know why I feel this way, but it's so difficult for me. And I feel this, I feel imposter syndrome. And we just kind of like worked through it, and it took time. There wasn't a magic recipe. Um, but I think getting enough reps allowed me to kind of exit out of it. But I didn't hide it. I was vulnerable about it. And it's not a fun feeling.
I think another thought I have, dude, is like, if you're feeling that way, which it sounds like you definitely were, which I don't blame you for feeling that way. Like, if you've listened to Ben speak, he's like, I don't know what that dude got on the ACT test, but I know what
He's
me and you got. It was not 35 or whatever. But so like I think most people would just like cross paths with him and be a business partner with him and feel that way. But my thought that came to my mind is like, you have strengths that he doesn't have, right? So the guy
Yeah.
is a gangster. He's amazing and he's the smartest person. He's so intelligent, but you're so well spoken and I don't know, like from a social component, like Ben like feels like a nerd to a lot of people because he's like he kind of is one, you know, and you feel different. And I think that anytime like you feel that way around another person, I think it's in a very humble way. You have to be honest with yourself on where can I add value and what strengths do I have that round this person out,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And if I'm you and I'm in your brain, that's what I would be telling myself in that partnership. And I think that goes for everyone. Like if you're working with someone and you feel a little bit overwhelmed, like I don't belong in the room, like God created you and you have amazing strengths and you belong in the room. And you might have to go do some self-discovery to figure out why you belong in the room. And that for some of us might take longer than others, but like we all have strengths and Blake has amazing strengths. And so I think from my vantage point, that partnership's been super cool because in some ways, yes, he's incredible, but I think you can round out some of his weaknesses.
Thank you.
So
Thank
anyway,
you.
we got a lot of questions, dude.
I'm excited.
Let's go here and then we'll go round out the back.
Like that is very good. Being full committed to that and why you have a lot to do. How do you keep Jesus Christ at the center of your life after all this busy?
Question of the night. Give him a hand.
Let's go. Question was for the Zoomers. How has Blake kept his faith and Jesus Christ the center of his life as all this other stuff's going on and he's a busy business person, family man, all that?
The real answer, the authentic answer is I haven't. And what I mean by that is, I wish I was more consistent at it. And I'll give you an example. So for all of you that are going to go build businesses one day, which I think majority of this room will, starting a business is one of the greatest experiences and developmental processes that you'll ever go through. And it's one of the most stressful things. Like, if you think the summer's stressful, it is incredibly stressful. Just times by like 25. And that's what I was feeling for like 6 months. I asked my dad to give me a blessing. It had gotten so bad that I asked my dad to give me a blessing. And I just like, dude, my hairline's going. I'm like, I don't know what to do. He gave me a blessing. He put his hands on my head and he said, Blake, the Lord wants to be of service, but you're not letting him. He wants to be involved in this, but you are not letting him. And if you asked me at that point if Jesus Christ was the center of my life, I would have said yes. But when those words hit me and when I received that blessing, I completely realized I had been neglecting him and not letting him in. So Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengtheneth me. And from that day forward, I just said, how do I do all things through Christ? And that looked like just going to a meeting and saying, hey, be here. That looked like just saying, hey, I'm nervous for this keynote. I'm just going to surrender it to you. I'm just going to let go. You take over. Or my inadequacies or the things I didn't know. I was just saying, hey, I need your help. Or by the way, we just had a really successful day. Thank you. I give you all credit. I give you all glory. So in the good and the bad and that when you need help, when you don't need help, it was just saying, hey, can I bring him in? Can I do all things through him? And so what's helped me since then to desperately try to keep him at the center of my life is let him be existing in all that I'm doing outside of church and all that I'm doing in work, in hobbies, in things that are not, and trying to do the best I can to avoid things that would not invite him, and to not be a person that he doesn't want to be of help to, and trying to be someone that's worthy of his help. That helpful? Such a great question. Thank you.
It's so good. Yeah, I think I love Casey Baugh talks about on his podcast that all things are spiritual, and I've had a lot of really, really spiritual experiences in business, and I think allowing Christ and your faith to, it's like Alma 32, like God's not just in the synagogue or in church, like everywhere, you know. And I love that you're honest about that too. I love that, like, because I think all of us can relate. Like, we all get off track and like lose sight of what really matters, and like don't utilize that source as much as we.
Yeah.
I'm way guilty of that too. So
Can I on that? Brad Wilcox gave a BYU talk. It's famous. I think it's called something grace.
His grace is
His
sufficient.
grace is sufficient. In business, between where you're currently at and where you want to go, God is who fills the gap. Period. Where you're at and where you want to go, the way to get there is through him. He will be the bridge. He will be the messenger to carry you to the other side. He will be the conduit between the two. And that I can promise, my friends.
Amen. Love that. Let's do two more. We'll do two more and then we'll close up. We had a couple in the back row. Carter, you want to go?
Yeah, I was going to ask what your process is for finding balance. I love this question too. Like the spiritual side, your kids, I asked finding balance. And that's not perfect, but maybe what your process is.
I love it. I'm going to opt my wife on this. I'll share my thoughts. Do you have any thoughts that you've seen that has worked? Probably not worked, but anything that has worked.
Like what's the process for finding balance with your family, with work, with your kids, with your calling, with life?
Is there anything that we've done that's worked well?
I feel like for us, how the DER, it really just comes down to being so intentional about scheduling things. We have to make sure things are on calendar, we are every week we start our Sundays out. This is what we're doing for our week. What do you have? This is where we can fit things in, things like that. The scheduling is so fun.
On that vein, weekly planning is essential. Like I live and die by my calendar. So if you don't have a calendar, it's a great place to start. Secondly, I'm a big fan of time batching, which means, okay, hey, Fridays at this time, it's personal time. Or like every morning, for example, I imperfectly try not to take meetings before 10 a.m. because I want to make sure that I can take care of myself. I also have some early morning seminary, so I try to allocate specific hours that I don't let meetings in. And there are specific days that I allocate for specific things. Like on Tuesdays, I don't have meetings on Tuesdays because it gives me an opportunity to do deep work. Mondays I structure as like my corporate days. So time batching has been really helpful, but also something that I always felt really guilty of when I was doing summer sales, that I wouldn't feel guilty, that I would adhere you not to feel guilty of, is it's okay to like protect some of your personal time. Like it's okay to say, hey, Wednesday nights I'm off because I'm taking my wife on a date, you know? And I always felt like, oh, but if I did that, I'd come across as not committed enough or not all in. But I was just saying, no, I'm all in, and I'm also all in to my wife, and I'm also all into my family. So hopefully there's a couple thoughts there. The last piece is For me, I've had a personal assistant since 21 years old, and I can't. When you get to a specific level of busyness, that's been a really effective tool that I've utilized. That's served us a ton.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean even that one, like there's been a lot of times where I like need something from Blake, or like I need him to drop off something for me, or I'm dropping something off from him, and his girl Flo, I never see Blake. It's always Flo.
I
So
was gonna
I
speak tonight.
yeah, you should have Flo up here, but yeah, like I think that was one thought that came to my mind is like people can help bridge that so that I mean babysitters, assistants, like things like that. I think people can be an awesome tool. And then this goes without saying, but like I am a big concept, here, and Gabe teaches the 4Fs here: faith, family, finances, and fitness. Something that I have kind of layered on top of that I'm a big believer in is just that like in life there are seasons, and I think of it as like a lamp, right? There's dark, dim, and light. And there are going to be F's in my life, like the finance pillar, that early in life when you're young and nimble and you don't have a ton of responsibilities yet, like go get ahead. Like that light should burn bright when you're young, in my opinion. And those seasons will change as you go throughout life, and there will be, if you serve an LDS mission, like they were pretty much all dark except your faith during that season of your life, right? So you're gonna have these dark, dim, light periods, but don't let anything ever get neglected and go dark. I think dim and light works. No part of your life should ever be neglected. And anyway, I think that's a really important concept as well.
Great
with
analogy.
balance. But one more question, we'll close up. Tevin, did you have something?
Yeah, I did.
Let's do it.
What tips do you have on reminding yourself throughout the day of your goals? Like I'll set goals that very well eat up the day, and I'll review them in my release. But come 3 o'clock in the afternoon, get it dizzy, and after gone, there's something I had to do at 2:45. That was like to hit my goals. Does that make sense? Like how you remind yourself to your goals throughout your day?
Very hard when you have. Great question. Can you repeat that?
The question is, basically you're forgetting what your goal was, or you've set a goal, but then halfway through the day you've lost track, you've kind of drifted off somewhere, and you've forgotten what the goal is. Is that the question?
Yeah. How do you
Good question.
goal throughout the day?
Okay.
I
yeah, good
remember
question.
you all throughout the day. The first step is not having goals. The first step is not having goals. It's having a goal. Make sense? So when you have goals, it's really easy to forget goals. But yeah, when you have a goal, it's really easy to remember a goal. Secondly,
What do you mean by that? Like it just needs to be important.
so back to my same thought of like, okay, if you're trying to be the best manager in the world and recruit and have 17 recruiting meetings and 4 trainings, and these are like all goals you have,
Yeah.
it's gonna be very difficult to forget. But if the goal is I'm recruiting 100 killers this year, period, then it's really easy to remember that. And so the second piece to it is operating from your goal, not towards your goal. And what I mean by operating from your goal is the goal should serve as a filter for everything that you do. And so how come I never forget my goal is because while I'm doing something, before I'm doing something, I'm always asking, does this serve the goal? Is what I'm doing, we call it signal or noise. Signal is like needle moving activity towards a goal. Noise is it's a distraction. And so is this signal tonight, is this signal to be here? Absolutely. Is it signal for me to go to lunch with a bunch of people every single day? No, it's noise for this specific period of my life, for the goal that I currently have. And so when you have a goal and you're always operating from it, you never forget it because you let it filter everything that you do in the present, and it ends up being the ultimate decision maker for everything that you do. You just opt to your goal. Is this a yes? Is it a no? I don't know. What does the goal say? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's a unique take on it, but that's what I've seen to be most effective.
Love it. So the question, which is awesome, and honestly a really good question to finish on, is kind of giving yourself grace, basically. Like if someone's a perfectionist and I kind of have this ideal version of, you know, my life, and then if I come up short, that's kind of the question, right? Like how do I treat myself in that process?
Couple answers here. Answer one is recognize that there's a gain in all things. Meaning, if you went for a goal and you did not achieve it, what is all the amazing things that happened? What were all the gifts that happened because you still went for that goal, although you didn't achieve it? We could spend our time, my partner calls it gap in the gain. We could spend our time in the gap where we're really focused on, freak, I didn't hit the goal. I'm pissed I didn't hit the goal. I can't believe I didn't hit the goal. I did it, whatever. Which there's a certain portion that's productive to a point. It's like, okay, let's look at it. But the most productive thing is, okay, let's be in the gain, not the gap. What are all the gains that I've received from this? The worst day of your life oftentimes is the best day of your life. Why? Because you extract so much from the adversity every time. You extract so much from the hard, you extract so much from the discomfort. And those are really easy opportunities to get down. A rep leaves you. It's like, I'm sure the perfectionist in you is like, crap, what did I do? I'm the worst manager in the world. It's like, man, what's the gift? What's the gain? What's the learning? What's the lesson we take to the next one? And then secondly, just remember the new way I would encourage everybody here to see goals is it's simply just a tool, nothing more, nothing less. There's no unhealthy, needed, toxic behavior to be with a goal. What it is for is saying, okay, if I'm going for 650,000 of revenue this year, but I only did 500, did that goal serve as a useful tool for me to sell much better, to prepare better, to be in a better headspace, to perform better, to transform, to become a better person than it did if I went for 400 and actually achieved it? And so when you look at goals as a tool, the perfectionism goes away. And you just ask yourself, man, was that super useful and did that serve me? If the answer is yes, then we did a really good thing.
Love it. Great answer. Cool. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I think just in wrapping up, just want to thank you for being here, dude.
Love y'all. Love
I know
playing.
you're,
You guys
you're
are
busy. You're a busy boy, and yeah, dude. Like, appreciate you a ton. I think people have learned a ton tonight. So, yeah, grateful for you.
Love you, brother.
Thanks for coming, man.
Big news, guys. I wrote a book. The title of the book is Wealth Worth Chasing. This book actually started as a personal journal, but last year when I lost a father figure, something awoke in me. I felt a deeper responsibility to my son and to the young men that I mentor to create something lasting, something that could guide others to live a life that they won't regret. I've poured a lot of time into this book, and I'm really excited to share it with you. I'll be releasing this book on January 6th, 2026.